first hero I'd like to discuss hails from ancient Greece and is one of the most legendary heroes of the ages. He was a half-god and was most famous, ironically, during the time he spent as a king's slave. His strength and valor are remembered even to this day, tremendously helped due to Walt Disney's movie about him that was released in 1997. His name is Heracles. Now, before I progress any farther, let me clarify that statement. His name is Heracles, not Hercules. Heracles was the original name given to the Grecian hero. When the Romans became the dominant power of the world, they took all their Grecian predecessors' gods, goddesses, and heroes, gave them a new look, and slapped a new name on them. Heracles became Hercules, and I shall refer to the hero as such. Doing a report on the Grecian hero Hercules would make about as much sense as doing a report on that great and famous American folk hero, Robin Hood. The origin of Heracles' tales is, unfortunately, lost to history. It has been, after all, a few thousand years since the tales were routinely told. While history is lost, however, the tales themselves are still readily found. Heracles' father is Zeus, the famous king of the gods. Many people probably believe that his mother is Zeus' wife, Hera. This information, however, is only accurate when referring to the Disney movie. Hera actually hated Hercules, probably due to the fact that Zeus conceived Heracles with a mortal princess. The jealous goddess tried to kill Heracles when he was a baby by sending a pair of serpents to kill him. The infant half-god strangled him to death in his crib. As he grew up, Heracles was taught in boxing, chariot driving, archery, swordplay, and music, among other things. He failed the last one rather spectacularly, though. Beating your music teacher to a pulp is usually a sign that music's not for you. He eventually wedded Megara, and they start up a family together, but Hera works her trickery once again, however, and brainwashes Heracles into killing his wife and children. Heracles is, quite understandably, traumatized by his deeds, and he seeks redemption from the gods, who instruct him to go to work for the king Eurystheus. The king makes one demand after another, each increasing in difficulty and apparent unreasonableness, hoping to see Heracles fail. Each task tests the hero's strength, wits, or both. In order, these tasks are: kill the Nemean lion, kill the Hydra of Lerna, capture the hind of Serenia, capture the boar of Mount Erymanthus, clean the stables of Augeas, shoot down the Stymphalian birds, kill or capture the Cretan wild bull, capture the man-eating horses of King Diomedes, retrieve the girdle of Hippolyte, queen of the Amazons, capture the cattle of the monster Geryon, retrieve the 3 apples of Hesperides, and capture the 3-headed giant dog, Cerberus, guardian of the underworld. You might have recognized some of these tasks. They are the famous 12 Labors of Heracles, undoubtedly his most famous story. Heracles went on to achieve many other feats across Greece, and many villages and settlements have their own tale featuring him. While many colleges and high schools have a mascot representing them, it could almost be said that each village had a Heraclean tale to symbolize them. It's safe to say that while many of these stories survived, countless others, unfortunately, have been lost to time. Ultimately, however, Heracles is killed in one of the least glorious ways possible. He is tricked by his second wife into putting on a robe which is soaked in a deadly poison. While his half-god blood keeps him alive, the hero is in unbearable pain and decides to immolate himself. Zeus asks Hera to stop her persecution of his son, and she finally agrees. After this, Heracles ascends to Mount Olympus and becomes a full-blooded god, recognized for his heroism during his time spent as an immortal. Heracles' popularity among his followers is easy to understand. He's the original great hero, for Pete's sake. He helped invade Troy during the Trojan War. He was a crewman aboard the Argo, serving under Jason and alongside other famous heroes such as Odysseus, Ajax, and Achilles. He was worshipped as the god of strength. He was kind to everyone he met, but he also had a very strong sense of justice, not the kind of person you want to make an enemy of. He was also quite the lover, both with women and men. His influence reached to the Far East and the Egyptian and Phoenician regions. He was adopted and arguably made more famous as Hercules by the Romans, who named a constellation after him. Admit it, when you hear about the legendary hero, you probably think more of Hercules rather than Heracles. And the hero can ultimately be tied to the height of the Grecian Empire's power. as he was famous for his strength and his heroic deeds. He's remembered in today's society for his famous and, frankly, exciting stories. There are several movies based on his stories that were made in the sword and sandal days of film, and more recently, the Disney animated film that was based very loosely on his myths. Heracles can be viewed as the original hero that all others are a spiritual successor of.